What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And if you're watching this or listening to this, you can achieve or listen or get to this podcast at the allthingscomedy.com website. You can also listen to it on iTunes, SoundCloud, Libsyn, Stitcher, and you can watch it at the YouTube page of Ian Soccer Comic Rant Edwards. I finally got that right. I know what my webpage is. Ian Soccer Comic Rant Edwards. And, watch it. See how I look when I'm talking about comedy. And you can also see this shirt that I'm wearing. It's from our sponsor. I think my computer's blocking it. Let me move that out the way. Let me move the computer this way. Look how lit that shit is. This is one of the shirts from onthevolleyapparel.com, and if you go there, they have hoodies, t-shirts, tank tops, and and sweatshirts. And this is one of the sweatshirts, and they have hip-hop soccer emblems on the front. This joint is a combo of Tribe Called Quest meets soccer, and it's fire. Also take into account that anything that's worn on my body looks 20% better than it would on yours. So, but take that, do the math to, figure out if this thing is really going to make you look as good as it's making itself look on me. But you can also use my promo code, Comic Rant, get 20% off when you go to the site to make your orders. So go there and check it out. And I got a guest. He was here like a few weeks ago. And what's up, Martin Harris, comic, actor, sports journalist in the house, and we're going to talk Premiership.
Yes.
And this is what week is this, 27?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most of the teams have caught up, except Chelsea, because they were busy this week doing something else, but we'll get to that. So we're here to talk. How was your week anyway? Let's get to that.
Well, for before I say about my week, you just inspired me with the Tribe Called Quest, because I just found out about them a month ago.
Hilarious.
No, it's true, because I was watching this documentary on Netflix about hip hop, early days of hip hop, and I'm like, oh, I like that sound, and I listen to Tribe Called Quest almost every day now.
Oh, right.
It's one of my new favorite
cool
things. So I'm a big fan of, especially one album. I listen to it all the time.
All right.
So yeah, I mean, we both went through a little bit of a trauma this last week. I was actually in New Orleans shooting a film.
I want to make fun of your sad sigh. Go ahead. It's like I'm gonna sound sad now.
Yeah. No, I was very, very sad because it looked like a great week, because I was filming pretty big movie in New Orleans after 10 years of going through from independent films through some small TV roles to a little bit bigger TV roles, finally a first role on a studio film, so I was super happy about that. But then on Friday I went back to my trailer and I opened a Twitter.
Yeah, you feel a lot of humble bragging in before you get to this point, but go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. and I found out on Twitter that one of people I like absolutely the most in comedy unfortunately is not with us anymore, and that crushed me for like good 3 days. I mean, I'm still thinking of it all the time.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to dedicate this episode to Brody, but I'd like to give definitely a shout out to Brody, just for his spirit and his life and the fun that he gave while he was around, and I want to appreciate him at the top of this episode for that.
And
so
he's right there with us.
Yeah, he's always
on the wall.
Yeah.
Festival of Sports. And I just want to mention one thing before, because everything was that's right. Because everything was already said what needed to be said. But I'll just tell one small little personal story. So I had my first show in the main room of the Comedy Store in 2013. It was pretty much unknown comics, and he was the only professional on the lineup. And he engaged me into a conversation, like a private conversation after the show. And I was at that time still full-time sports writer. That was my full-time career and job. And he seemed to be very interested in it. And we talked about sports. Mm-hmm. And I think I got his respect because I was, a published author at the time. I think I got his respect, even if I was an open micer. I got his respect, and he always showed me respect, and we always talked about sports. And I think that kind of bonded us. Whenever we saw each other, whenever he saw me, he was always asking about sports-related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So some people know him as a great comic. Some people know him from Hangover, but also some people know him as being a sports guy. He was an actual baseball player on a college level, and Chicago Cubs, one of the biggest organizations in the world, paid respect to Brody Stevens.
Yeah.
After he passed away,
Yeah.
So that says a lot. He was like a legitimate sports fan, former athlete, and sports was very important in his life. Yeah,
he was good people, and wherever he went, people liked him and loved him. And it's kind of a cliche thing to say, but if that's all, I'm not saying that's all he achieved, but it's a great thing to achieve in life, where everywhere you go, people love you, like you, and miss you. So that's and I think people should think about that as far as like achievements. Like when people sometimes are worried about what they don't have, and they think about what they don't have, they don't think about what they do have, and people have to be. I was watching this thing. It's kind of, at first I was like, it's kind of corny, but then I thought about it and said, it's not like this. It's one of these videos on YouTube where at night before everybody goes to sleep, or if you want to, just think about 3 things that you're grateful for. Because I think we spend a lot of time thinking about the things that we don't have, and we never take the time to say, oh, well, at least I got this bed, or I got this food, or I got these friends. Just be thankful or grateful for 3 things before you go to sleep at night. It could be life-changing.
Yeah,
big
and
deal.
I would add to it. Let's learn how to love and respect people once they're still alive. So whenever you see your friends even struggling or having a bad day, maybe try to help instead of bring them down, because you never know what can happen, what will happen, what can trigger what. So just. Because I see a lot of support for Brody now in the last couple of days. I'm not saying that he wasn't supported before, but I see.
He was supported.
I mean, he was supported, but I see this big wave of of gratitude. But at the same time, let's not forget about people who still need your support and are here. They're still here and they might need it.
Yeah, always.
Yeah,
always. And one of the things that I'm thankful for is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm happy that he's our interim coach at Man United, and Man United played Liverpool, and Liverpool's at the top of the table, so it's the first team we're going to go through.
Not for long.
And we're going to talk about their game versus Man U in week 27, and my thoughts of the game were, first, I always thought this was going to be a tough game for us, even if we're playing at home. Playing Liverpool, they hot, they're at the top of the table. And they've only lost 1 game all season. The last time we played them, they fired our coach. They got our coach fired. So there's definitely some nervousness coming into this game. And then I knew we had some injuries before the game, so Martial wasn't going to be playing, and Lingard was injured before the game. So it's we're not even going to put our best players out there, and we're going to go up against, I think their entire team was fit, as far as I know. But I was like, all right, let's, there's so many tests. It's just been a tough last, few weeks of tests for us. And we go in there, and then you think, in the PSG game, we had 2 injuries. In this one, we had to make 3 substitutions in the first 20, 30 minutes of the game. And they had to make a substitution, and I was like, it's funny when you watch a game. You have a different expectation for each game. So this one, I was like, I was gonna be happy with a tie actually, and I'd be ecstatic if we won. But when we lost to 3 players, I was like, if we only lose 1-0, then this is not bad. It's almost kind of like a spiritual point. So and I had accepted the loss when we lost the players. So when the game ended 0-0, it felt like a win.
Yeah, listen, you had a horse in this race, but you have to admit, for all neutrals like myself, this was an unwatchable game. pretty much.
And here's what I gotta say. I don't care.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, and we have to bring it up because some people might not understand it. You know, I've been to Liverpool several times. You lived in England, and this is the biggest game for Liverpool and Man U fans. Like, it's not even Liverpool derby. The Liverpool versus Manchester United there's a lot of animosity between those two teams, between fans. There's a huge rivalry. There is a huge historical rivalry because those are two clubs that won the most trophies in the history of English soccer.
Football, yeah.
Football. So there is a lot at stake always.
It's all good.
Yeah. So there's a lot at stake, and there's a lot of history. There is a lot of emotion, and now also Liverpool are trying to win the title after a long break, and things are becoming more and more difficult. They're kind of losing their pace on this path to the title. Like they're losing points. They were 7 points ahead of the City a month ago, and now it doesn't look that great anymore. And there is more and more pundits saying that they are crumbling under pressure, and now Firmino's injury, so it doesn't look good for them. No,
I hear you saying that. I hear people saying that this was a rough patch of games for Liverpool to get through, and if they could be where they are now in the lead, at the top of the league, at the end of these patch of games, it's a good thing. Yeah, they dropped some points, but it's never easy to win at Man U, even when Man U's not good. And then I watched the game they played against Bayern midweek, and that game took a lot of energy from those players. That was some next level shit from both teams. Like, I should check to see how Bayern did in their league this week, because they gave so much, even though that was another 0-0 tie. They expended so much energy in that game. I think it worked in our favor because they came to Old Trafford. They did not have the energy levels that they matched Bayern with. So I was thankful that they had a Premier League game. I'm glad we got the point, you know.
Well, yeah, big props to United, and I think it's the biggest change under Solskjaer is their defensive game. I think they're way more compact, they're better organized. I think there was so much bad reputation in media and overall about Manchester United individual defenders, but Solskjaer got to play them better together. I think there was a problem of continuity under Mourinho, and right now they're playing better as a unit, and the way they handled Salah, I think, was very impressive because Salah didn't do anything in that game at all.
Yeah, Shaw was good. He locked him down. He's like, yo, so as soon as Salah came on the field,
and he was bullied by Mourinho,
yo,
right?
We're married.
Yeah,
we're married. You're not going anywhere without me. I'm the jealous type, so I'm gonna be right here. Don't you ever look at that goal the way you look at me. He just stuck with him, and they were just Ashley Young. His first play of the game was like a huge mistake, that back pass to De Gea. But after that, everybody kind of settled down. A few minutes later, Pogba, everybody's like, a few weeks ago, they were like, Herrera is the man of the match. I know Pogba scored a goal and had an assist, but everybody, all the pundits, refused to look at the defensive work that Paul Pogba does on a game-to-game basis. It's not just running forward, but that dude helps his teammates defend. I was actually also happy about the injuries in a way, because when I look at McTominay, what he came in and what he did, because I always kind of believe in his skill and his ability, so he did a good thing for his reputation as a player and confidence, and to get more time in this squad. And Pereira came back from a horrific game the last time he was on the field to come into this high-intensity game and represent himself in a worthy way that will warrant him getting more playing time. So I'm glad that we are, like, even despite our injuries, finding more options, that the way we play together as a team inspires team confidence and just fan confidence in, like, oh, we do have value amongst our players. You know what I mean? Like, and then I just like the way Solskjaer, like, under pressure at Old Trafford in a big game against Liverpool, maybe subbing in Lingard was a mistake, but he recovered from that mistake to leave 0-0 with a point. And, you know, what more can you ask for when you see your team make 3 substitutions within like 20, 30 minutes? You think it's a loss. It's a definite loss. And we have lack of depth. And to, like, those injuries forced him to show us how good of an organizer he is, and you can't be like, it's just, and he's just an encouraging guy. No, he's coaching. You could see that they were coached, and I admit that Liverpool did not bring the intensity that they had midweek or that I've seen in other games, but I can also admit that Solskjaer did his motherfucking thing as a coach.
Absolutely, and I think Gary Neville, I saw his analysis that at this point it's pretty much clear that they can't let him go after the season. It's pretty much clear they can't do that, and I think they made a mistake in the last couple of years that they can correct right now by hiring full-time Solskjaer. That they hired coaches who were past their prime. Like Louis van Gaal was the best coach in the world in the 90s with Ajax and Barcelona. Then Mourinho was the best coach in the 2000s, probably. And
early 2000s?
Mid-2000s. Like early 2004, he won with Porto the Champions League. Then he was winning with Chelsea. And then it reversed like around 2011, 2012 when he was with Real Madrid. So right. That decade is not that impressive for Mourinho, although he won something.
But it is for Pep.
It is for Pep.
This is Pep's decade.
That's the Pep's decade, but obviously they couldn't hire Pep. But looking into the future, you hire someone who is, and I think Neville used that word, who is very close to the club. Like he's got this Man U DNA. So that makes him like the natural hire.
Like Pep was for Barca.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what you do. You hire someone from within who knows the club. They said he's like the spirit child of Ferguson is coaching Man U right now. So why fire the spirit child? You keep the son of the Holy Ghost and let him coach. So if you're done with that, we can move on to Man City.
Yeah, I just wanna talk just a little bit about Liverpool. Firmino's injury is a big blow for them because I don't think they have a good enough bench. I don't think they have.
What about Shaqiri?
Yeah, as well. I mean, he's their best bench guy technically.
And what about my thing is, I think when they subbed in Sturridge, I was like, it's going to be tough for Sturridge to be effective because he barely gets playing time. I know he doesn't normally fit into their system, especially when Klopp first got there. But my thing was like, if Sturridge has had a chance to watch and practice with this Klopp system, you have to give him more games now for him to work for you and help you out in situations like this. And I just think they haven't. And I think if a Shaqiri can adjust to this team, a Sturridge can also, and you should have played him more throughout at least this year so that he can help you out, because there's no way those front three are going to go injury-free for a year. You know what I mean? So you should play him. But
he will have his chances right now, but I don't think it looks very good to Liverpool. I think they really, since they lost their first game of the season against the City, I think that was the breaking point. And since then, they're not the same team. I think their confidence is a little bit shattered. They're scared. They play more scared. They don't have this open-minded, positive football, full of confidence, full of hope. I think they
haven't lost. They just had some ties. I think it's like one win. Let me see.
I think they lost one of the games.
Nah, they only lost to City all year.
They only lost to City.
So
okay.
they had 3 draws in their last 5.
Yeah,
and then,
that's not good enough.
And then a loss to City before that, and maybe another draw. And this was a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's not good enough.
They should have won, even though it's Old Trafford, because of the injuries that we had in the first half. They should have pulled it off. And we had the better chances. So, I got to,
And City is a deeper team. That's what I'm trying to say. The City spent also more money
they're a deeper
overall,
team.
But their deeper teams and they're better prepared long term. They know how to win the title, and there's not that much pressure on them, as much as on Liverpool, because Liverpool is known for blowing those kind of situations. They did it a couple of years ago.
Why are they known for blowing it when they only lost the league one time in the last 29 years? They lost
Champions League final. They lost.
But they won the Champions League final after they they went 3 goals down to AC Milan.
Yeah, but
and
that
won
was
it.
14 years ago.
Right? and won it. So how are they known for blowing things? They're not known for blowing things. You just said they're the most decorated team besides Man U. And how are they known for blowing things?
Recently, and
I don't. Yeah,
like the finish of the league 4 years ago, and they lost Champions League final. I think they lost also Europa League final 2 years ago.
Europa League, yeah. To Sevilla.
So it's time to win something.
It is time to win for something, but I don't think they're known for blowing things.
Recently,
yeah. I mean,
it's obviously a winning franchise. Obviously, it is. But it's time for them to win.
No, for sure.
It
is time for them to win, but it doesn't mean that because it's time for them to win, they're known for.
Yeah, no, maybe it's a wrong word, but they comparing to City, who are proven champions. They won, I think, 3 out of last 5 or 4 out of last 6 or 7. There is a consistency, so that brings some sort of confidence. Like those players know that if things go their way, they will win it, and then don't have to be look behind. Where Liverpool players, they were not in this situation yet. So they don't know.
Every team before they win is like that. You have to win to know.
But there's a little bit of a trauma because they lost. Those players lost twice, two big finals already. So there is a little bit of.
I don't think most of those players were there for the Europa. Like I don't know if Salah was there for the Europa.
Salah wasn't there. Robertson wasn't there.
Trent wasn't there. You can go through that team. I don't think their keeper was there for Europa.
The keeper wasn't there for sure. Yeah.
The
keeper wasn't there for the Champions League final.
Henderson was there. I don't think Matip was there. I don't think. And Matip is stepping up. He's playing better now that Gomez is out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give him that. So Gomez is going to be tough for him to get that spot back. I saw Matip like dribbling through goddamn Man U's defense. But I don't know. We'll see. Listen, I know everybody in England wants Liverpool to lose, and they're rooting for Man City. But I'm one of the few.
Why?
Because it's a title count thing. You know what I mean? Even though City's like right across the city, and should be their direct rival. Like this is a bigger rivalry to them, and it's like they don't want Liverpool to have more trophies than Man U. So that's their mentality. And then they say that Liverpool fans are just the worst, like the shit that they're talking. So, but I'm over here. I'm not hearing a lot of shit talking. And to me, I hate Man City winning more than I hate Liverpool winning.
But you know that a lot of United fans are actually more anti-Liverpool than anti-City. A lot of them.
Yeah, I'm not one of those. I'm not one of them dudes.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Like, I think a lot of people are rooting for Liverpool, but it's more now of a concern that they're dropping points on a regular basis right now, and it doesn't show like a good trend for them, especially knowing that City is a machine. That they had a couple of weird losses against like Crystal Palace that things just didn't go their way, and there were some miraculous goals for Crystal Palace.
They didn't lose to Crystal Palace; they tied.
No, the City, they lost to Crystal Palace.
I thought you were talking about
Liverpool, the City. So that was a weird loss because technically they were dominating, and Townsend scored like the best goal of his career, and things just happened the way that happened, But overall, what I'm trying to say is that I would be more confident with City in the crunch time. It's almost like having Michael Jordan on your team, in the crunch time. I don't trust those Liverpool players in the crunch time, but I do trust the City players because they have players who won things, right, who are handling pressure a little bit better. So I think the City are the favorites.
So you trust Chelsea to win the title this year more than?
No, I don't trust Chelsea, and we'll get there. I don't think Chelsea trusts Chelsea.
So what are you saying? No, I understand what you're saying. I get it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to Man City. They're next in line. They didn't play. They played this week, but they played in the Carabao Cup Finals against Chelsea, and they won after regular time, after extra time. They won on penalties. And before we get to, I know where you want to get to. Let's talk about the game, because this is what I have to say about the game. For a team, Chelsea, who lost to Man City 6-0 2 weeks ago, this was a great performance. And if you wanted, if you wanted a gauge of has this coach Sarri lost his team? I would say, based on his performance, no. And that it's a learning thing. He changed some players out, which when I spoke to some Chelsea fans, one Chelsea fan really, he said, those are the players we've been dying for him to get right out. No, not Francisco. Francisco don't. He just roots for Chelsea. He don't know shit about Chelsea. Neil Chakravarti. It was like, we need to lose Alonso. And they put in, was it Anderson?
Yeah, Alonso was their by far worst player. It was
right.
horrific in those last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
No, I mean, listen, one major thing regarding Chelsea. They beat them. They beat City with the same team pretty much that played this game. They beat them, I think, in November.
Right.
And
2-0.
yeah, so he just pretty much went back to something that worked in the past, and that's smart. However, and we'll get to what happened at the end of the regular time that pretty much proves one theory that I already had about this team. Starting from Sarri's bizarre comments a couple of weeks ago, this locker room doesn't function well. And I think, it's still, you said that he got some players playing. I think they're more playing, for themselves, for winning the trophy than for Sarri. Like Hazard wants to leave and he wants to win something before he leaves. And the two best players for Chelsea were Kante and Hazard. Kante won everything in the world, including the World Cup and including titles with both Leicester and Chelsea. So, when you're at that level of winning, you have some sort of kind of mentality that you don't want to be embarrassed.
The mentality that Sarri said they don't have?
Yeah, you don't want to be embarrassed because you have this ego, like I've won that many times. I've won everything, like I can't let...
How about pride?
Yeah, pride. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's the best word, pride. So like Kante showed pride. Hazard wants to win, to leave, pretty much. He wants to leave, so he wants to win something before he leaves. And there were two best players on the field. Although... even if it looked very good on TV or on the stadium, whatever, they didn't technically have have a single shot on goal.
Who, Chelsea? Or?
Yeah, Chelsea.
I mean, but their setup was dope.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Their setup was
sure,
dope.
Sure.
He said, I'm not going to play Higuain. I'm going to start Hazard. He's like, is that a false nine? What is that?
Yeah.
It's a false nine.
Yeah.
But
using his speed and
he's using his speed to like stretch out the defense of City and make them worry. Like he made some inquisitive questioning of the Man City defensive dribbles into their area and made them have to defend. It kind of reminded me when Belgium was beating Brazil in the World Cup. What was that, the quarterfinals or some shit? When Belgium had the lead.
Quarterfinals,
Yeah, they had like Hazard like get the ball and just dribble, and they had to foul him. Brazil had to foul him, and Belgium was able to keep possession. So they kind of used him in that way, and they're just hoping that he'd get like a shot off. Kante had like a really good chance in the second half. No, they got some shots off in the second half. Chelsea
not on goal though.
Yeah, but in the second half, I think Chelsea did have the best chances.
Yeah, no, they did.
They created the best chances.
But the what was my point, that the locker room doesn't work. What happened at the end of the regular time, overtime. It's for me another proof that it doesn't work. Simply that group of players.
What are you talking about? Put it in
the
context.
incident.
The incident. So let me just describe.
Yeah, describe the incident.
So Kepa, the goalkeeper, went down injured. They sent a trainer on the field. And the trainer told the coach he has cramps, right? Mm-hmm. So then they tell Caballero, an ex-Man City goalkeeper, who won a penalty shootout in the same competition a few years ago for Man City. He's now playing for Chelsea. They told him to warm up. He warms up, takes off all his gear. He's ready to go. And they're going to make the substitution of the goalkeeper, Kepa. Mm-hmm. And Kepa says, nah, I'm not coming off the field. And there's a big back and forth going between Sarri, the coach, and Kepa, to the point where Sarri almost looked like he was going to leave the game, and comes back, and Kepa manages to stay on the field and stave off his being substituted. And then the end of regular extra time ended, and then they went into penalties. But in between the penalty shoot up and the end of extra time, there was a little going back and forth between just everybody. But here's what happened. I know everybody. So people in the studio, all the pundits are like, when your coach pulls you off, you got to come off the field and blah, 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 blah. But this is what I thought happened.
All right.
And I think Sarri, has, what's the word? Sarri has confirmed what I thought happened with his speech after. You don't even know what I think happened yet. So
I kind of have a feeling.
So Kepa was killing time by pretending to be injured. He's trying to get his team to the penalty shootout. He was never hurt. The 2 times he went down, he was time killing and pretending to be injured. So then when he saw Caballero about to come in for him, he's telling the coach, he can't be like, hey, I was faking it. You know, it wasn't a real orgasm. It's like, he's like, no, I'm fine. And then because you can't fake an injury, all right, and then get taken off, and then the person you bring on for you loses the game, then the guilt that you'll have your whole lifetime from just like, because your coach doesn't understand what you're doing to help the team, it kind of blows it. So basically what happened in penalty shootouts is what would have happened if he never faked the injuries, if they never called Caballero and told him to get warmed up. The same keeper just kept it for them in the penalty shootout, and the game ended the way it ended. And then Sarri at the end of the game gave a speech, because now he spoke to Kepa, and he said he was right. He said, my keeper was right, but in the wrong way. And they had a talk, and he understands what happened. But he can't say his player faked an orgasm.
Well, yeah. So it's interesting, conspiracy theory a little bit.
It's not.
However, Chelsea just fined him 1 week wages today, so that kind of proves not clearly.
Because you have to do something. But
I mean, he's suspended. I mean, they suspended his contract for 1 week pretty much. He's not gonna get paid for a week. That's a clear sign of him not following the directions from his own manager and undermining his authority, which is what everybody else saw pretty much. So even like listening to Chris Sutton today and a lot of other pundits, John Terry, they're all agree in one thing, that Kepa should never play a single game for Chelsea again.
Everybody's too emotional.
I mean, that was just a horrible reaction to the manager, but pretty much. If you even look at what fans were writing in comments, like, we have a new manager, Kepa. He's a new manager for Chelsea.
That is funny. That is hilarious. But everybody's too emotional. Everybody's overreacting, and they need to calm the fuck down. Because if you read Sarri's statement, like Sarri,
he had to say that.
No, he didn't. He didn't, because let me tell you why Sarri didn't have to say that. When Sarri was pissed at his players a few weeks ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm going to need a translator for this. And he made that hard-hitting accusational statement about his players. Like, that's the type of guy who this is. Like, if he, when he thinks something, he says it. So if that's why in this scenario, he didn't have to say that. If he had a conversation with Kepa and it went any other way, he would have told you the way it went. You know what I mean? But in this case, he's saying, Kepa and I have spoken about the incident. It was a good conversation. There was a misunderstanding yesterday, but he realizes he made a big mistake in the way he reacted. He has apologized to me, his teammates, and the club. And it's up to the club if they want to discipline him according to the rules. Not him, the club. But for me, the matter is now closed. The team performance as a whole was extremely positive, and it is a shame to see how this incident has overshadowed our efforts in what was a very competitive cup final.
Great PR from
Sarri.
Great
Sarri
PR
doesn't
move.
need PR.
No, he does, because
he
he got humiliated in front of the entire world, completely completely
To
destroyed. No, to everybody. That's
to me. I'm a part of everybody. I think everybody.
Majority knows that Sarri's authority is lost pretty much within the team. That he pretty much should just walk away. After that, there's
really?
No comeback from that.
That's what you would do.
Yeah, I would just resign.
You just give up your life?
I'll give up. I got embarrassed. I got humiliated. Like my own player told me to go F myself.
He did not say that.
Pretty much
he said no. He didn't. I didn't see that. He's like, no, hold on. He's like, I can't tell you that I'm faking my injury.
I'll tell you one more thing, because I talked to several former goalkeepers, who I'm friends with, and here's their take. How you feel when you're Willy Caballero and you train with this guy every day. There's a special bond between goalkeepers. There is a special understanding. They root for each other. Caballero wasn't even there during penalties. He wasn't even rooting for Kepa. Caballero was kicking the wall in the tunnel out of anger, and if he had Kepa next to him, probably he would choke him. So Kepa not only completely disobeyed his manager, he also disrespected his fellow goalkeeper. He pretty much took a big dump on the entire club, and he should never play a single game for Chelsea again. He should never wear the colors. He should never show up on training. He should never be allowed to be associated with the Chelsea Football Club.
And you don't think that's an overreaction or statement? You just think this is normal, huh? Oh, really?
No, the situation wasn't normal. I've never seen anything like that.
No, I'm just asking you. The thing that you just said. Who are these goalkeepers?
It's like
what have they done?
It's a common. You listen to what John Terry was saying. I mean, he wasn't saying that much, but everybody is saying that Kepa was in the wrong.
I heard Zamaleta speak, and he was so rational. I watched interviews.
His former team just won the cup thanks to Kepa, so
yeah,
I would be happy if I was Zabaleta.
But he still was rational. That's a great point.
I'm rational too. You have to punish for something like that.
Yes, you have to punish, and the punishment is
Gary Lineker. Let's read to his tweets.
The punishment is he's going to be fined a week, and then he apologized himself, and he's going to get ridiculed. But listen, man, it's worse if you're a capper, if you're faking an injury, and your coach takes you off, and you could have played, and your team loses. So he went about it. I think what his plan was backfired, and he's just trying to save it. And it's like you can't sit on the bench while you're like in 100% in shape, watching somebody else be the keeper. And Caballero's just got to get over that.
Listen.
If Caballero don't get over it, he just don't get over it. Kepa's 24. He's going to be the club's keeper for a long time.
Not at this club.
Yes, he will. He's. I bet you he's going to be there for a while.
I mean, he's going to be there for a while only because he's under contract. But as I said, he shouldn't play a single game for this team. And if I'm sorry,
I'm glad you're not overreacting.
It's being punched. It's a punch in the gut. Like if I'm sorry, I'm going to Abramovich. Mirror him. Make your decision. Mirror him.
But he's not doing that. Why would he do that? He spoke to the player. Yeah,
it's a PR move. We'll see what happens. If he plays next game against Tottenham, we'll see.
Again, if Sarri cursed out his whole team a few weeks ago, and he made a public speech damning the whole team after the Chelsea game, right after the Man City game, why would he hold back now?
Well, let's see what happens.
Why would he
answer
that?
Internally, now it's a heated situation in that locker room, and I think that again. It showed there is no leadership because Azpilicueta, who is their captain, speaks Spanish. Azpilicueta, who is Spanish, he should have told Kepa to keep his mouth shut and just walk away. He should have done that as a captain, and he didn't do it. So Azpilicueta failed as a captain. Sarri failed as an authority figure. I think that shows the players don't respect him and don't respect his voice in the locker room. And Kepa failed as a professional. It was absolutely non-professional. It's a Sunday leagues behavior, like when you play with your friends and go for a beer after that.
I'm gonna bring you back to something you said at the beginning of the podcast about being there for people.
Well, he wasn't.
Let me about being there for people. Like this mentality is a complete 180 from what you said about being understanding of people and listening to people. No, listen, because I want you to listen to yourself about listening to people and helping them while they're alive. And then this is like a 180 attitude towards an incident.
I'm helping Sarri and Caballero.
You're not helping anybody. You're just being full fuck this writing somebody off.
I am writing him off. Yeah.
This is an incident.
But helping people and holding them accountable for their mistakes. Those are two different things. This is a professional sport.
It's a professional sport, and the club fined him.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Let's go to number 3 in the table. Let's go to Tottenham Hotspur. You guys lost to Burnley.
Lost.
Do we write Pochettino off?
No, I told you that when I was here for the last time, the team is not good enough to win.
Do those referees never coach ref again because maybe that shouldn't have been a corner like in that game? Like,
but
what happens? What are we writing? What's going on here?
No, I told you we're not good enough, and the number of losses is just the proof of that. That it's like a little bit of a fake news telling that we were in the fight for the title. Like,
you still are actually.
Yeah, but I don't think we're good enough. We're number 3 where we should be. We're the 3rd best team in England. That's what we are. The 3rd best team in England this season, and it's the table in a way shows our strength. I mean, it shows who we are. But we're not good enough this season to win the title. And I said it multiple times. So it doesn't surprise me at all. It was just a question of time when they and actually no, I mean they do it every 4 or 5 games. They stumble over someone. Like they lost to Wolverhampton in the past. They lost to United that game like 2 months ago, and now they lost to Burnley. It happens. They lost I believe 9 games now. So
you're not good. First of all, you're not going to win every game. You're going to have stumbles.
Yeah,
and you're still 6 points. No, you lost 7. You got 7 losses.
7 losses. Okay.
Yeah.
Including 2 cup losses, so 7 plus 2.
Yeah, and you should just be happy you're out of those cups. And
because the Champions League we do very well actually.
Yeah, so you can focus on Champions League and Premiership, but you're only 6 points off from the top. There are 11 games left, right? 11.
Yeah.
Does that add up to 38? 11 and 27. So you may be the 3rd best team in the league, but Leicester was the 20th best team in the league when they won the title.
So why can't
the 3rd best team in the league win the title still?
Next year.
Like if you think Man City, as good as they are going to win 11 games in a row? You think Liverpool, maybe, as good as they are going to win? No, they're not.
Liverpool are stumbling. Yeah. I told you what
Man City's not going to win 11 games in a row. They're not.
I wouldn't say it's impossible.
What do you think about Podges' reaction?
He's right. I mean, he didn't get the transfers he needed. That's.
But he's yelling at the ref. The ref doesn't do transfers.
The ref situation. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I agree. True. That was a mistake for sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right. So he's just upset about that mistake, but still, And then a friend of mine asked, they shouldn't have played Harry Kane. It was too soon, but Harry Kane had a great shot on goal earlier on in the second half and scored a goal. Mm-hmm. So I think he should have played. Motherfucker was at the Super Bowl hanging out. He's ready.
Yeah, he's ready.
Put him in when he's ready. He's played football before.
He scores. He's a professional scorer. You need Harry Kane. You don't bench Harry Kane, of course.
Right.
It's like, if Pogba was injured for 2 games, you're not going to play him in the 3rd one? Of course you're going to play him.
Right. And then let's go down to Arsenal. They're 4th. They got 53 points. They beat Southampton. And, let's go back. You guys play Chelsea next week.
Yeah.
At Chelsea.
I hope Kepa will be playing for Chelsea.
He might be. What do you think of your chances?
If Kepa is playing, chances are very high because he's mentally shattered after what happened. So I hope he plays actually. But if it's a professional club in Chelsea, if they're trying to be a professional club, he will never play for them again.
Thanks for being very understanding of humanity. I appreciate it.
No, I mean I want him to play somewhere else. Like in Chelsea, for behavior like that. If you walk to the bar and you're drunk and you throw glasses at customers, you get kicked out from the bar. But you go to another bar next time and try to behave better.
They ban you for a little bit and then you come back to the bar. That's exactly what they're gonna do. I don't know. This is a tough call as far as Chelsea versus Tottenham next week. You know, this is a tough call. I guess the best thing for me to hope for as a Man U fan
is a draw.
Is a draw. Or
I could see that.
Listen, we're not going to catch Tottenham.
No.
So I could root for a Tottenham win so that we could keep Chelsea behind us. Mm-hmm. So that will be the best case scenario. So I can only root mathematically for who I want to win this game for my team's progress.
And I think we will win this game. I think strategically, tactically, I think Pochettino's style fits very well Sarri's weaknesses as a manager and his style, and I think Pochettino will be able to expose him. I think Pochettino teams always played well against Sarri teams. I think with Kane getting a little bit more practice time with the team, and what's going on with Chelsea after a devastating loss. That was a devastating loss. I think that was the game where they tried to gain back momentum in the season. They lost the game. So I think Chelsea might collapse after that completely. I think the Chelsea might collapse and Sarri will be fired eventually. I think he will not survive to the end of the season. And if Spurs win this game, I think Chelsea collapses. The season's over. Here's
the thing about Sarri. Like, the media has been calling for him to be fired for so long and so loud. I forgot that until this weekend that they were calling for a guy to get fired who was in a final coming up, which was this final this weekend. Like, you're calling for a guy that made it to a final that all the top teams in England were trying to make it to be fired. And now the final's over, but before that you were calling for him to be fired. And you're calling for a guy to be fired who's got a healthy chance of winning the Europa League. So I wouldn't fire him. Not now. I'll just let's get to the end of this thing and figure out, instead of just firing him and getting God knows who, take the time the rest of the season to figure out who you should really get for who you go forward. Now, and also Chelsea has that ban.
Yep, they want to talk about it actually.
They have a ban. So, but I spoke to my friend in England, they bought up. That's why they got Pulisic and a bunch of players in their youth system that they can use now over the next 2 years that they can't buy anybody.
Plus, they can do one more thing that Barcelona did. They can ask for extension of the ban, so they can extend it, let's say, till the summer. That the summer they can still buy, and for the next year they can't buy. Barcelona did that, I think, 5 years ago, when they bought Suarez and I think Rakitic, a couple of very good players. So they were allowed 2-3 months to finish
stockpile.
Yeah, to stockpile, and then they couldn't buy anybody, but they bought everybody they wanted, pretty much.
Yeah, I just wouldn't fire Sarri right now, but that's just me. I'd be like, let's figure out who we want to be the coach. Take a time, let this guy,
I mean, if he loses to the Spurs, then yeah, you fire him.
Maybe. I have a feeling that if he does, he's definitely dangerously close to that. But if he beats them, he's still. I think Chelsea has as good a chance to win the Europa League as anybody, and he's their coach now. He got him to one final. He can get him to that one. And
I think he blew the situation with Kepa, because that was a perfect scapegoat for Sarri to ride on. He should have said, if Kepa is still around, I'm quitting, and I'll just quit. And that would be honorable way to walk away from a pretty bad situation for him, because we all know.
Why would you walk away and leave the money?
Yeah, I mean,
that's
how.
That's
if
not
you get
smart.
fired, you're still being paid.
Yeah, but if you walk away, you're not getting paid. I'm not gonna walk away and blame it on Kepa just to look good. Does that make fine?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, how many cigarettes he smokes?
He smokes.
It hasn't gone that too much to his brain. Arsenal, they beat Southampton. Let's try to go a little faster. So basically, the story of this game is Arsenal did what they had to do. They scored the 2 goals early. They created multiple chances afterwards, and they are 5th in the table. They went ahead of Man U by 1 point. So fine.
I spoke to a friend of mine, one of my best friends in LA. He's a big Arsenal fan, and he says that if Emery keeps his job, he will be a protesting Arsenal fan. He will boycott his own team's games because he says he destroyed the entire culture built by Arsene Wenger by playing a dirty defensive football, and he hates Emery so much.
He does?
Yeah.
Well, so was this guy? Was he on the protest bandwagon to get rid of Wenger?
No, actually, he loved Wenger till the end. I have to give it to him. He loved Wenger till the end. Yeah.
But they're in the same position now. They were on the Wenger. What is destroyed?
The beauty of football, he says. It's not beautiful football anymore.
I've watched them play football. They play. I would stop watching them if it wasn't good football. I still watch Arsenal play. They've done nothing to deter me. It's still sexy. They got better jerseys than they did under Wenger,
But you know what's
play
funny?
Like those jerseys.
You know what's funny? Like I read one of those stories that Wenger might be the candidate to be the next manager of Chelsea if they fire Sarri.
Oh yeah,
that would be pretty hilarious if that happens.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake. I like Wenger, but I think unless he's been fired up because since he's been fired from but.
Like, listen, it happened once with Benitez, who went from Liverpool to Chelsea. Like, he was an iconic manager at Liverpool, and then he went to and he coached Chelsea. So it's not like impossible that those like iconic figures.
Coaches do that all the time.
Yeah.
Let's go to Man U. We're just gonna say that they're in fifth. We got Crystal Palace coming up.
Dangerous team with Zaha, who played fantastic this weekend, and he's a former unfulfilled Man U player, so he will definitely have chip on his shoulder, and he will try to prove Man U wrong. Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. Zaha, I think he's not as good as people say he is.
He had a great game.
But to me, it's like, oh, you scored all the goals you were going to score in a spurt in that game last week. You're not consistent. You ain't going to do that 2 weeks in a row, much less 3 in a row. I just don't believe in him. He's overhyped because he has good moves sometimes,
and pace,
but he has a bad attitude. The only thing that'll give Crystal Palace a chance is our injuries. But also, I like the fact that we have the injuries, so we have to experiment with some of our youth team, and I want to see them, and I want to see them with a coach that I like. So I'll be excited to watch this game, and I feel like we can still get at least a point out of this based on injuries.
I mean, we should win the game like that.
We don't have everybody. We like the whole forward line is gone. Like Rashford,
by the way,
might be injured.
But let me just finish. Yeah.
Rashford might be injured. Lingard is gone, and you're like, say you took away Liverpool's front three,
and one of them is taken away right now.
Yeah. So you're saying we should go to Crystal Palace and win without our front three?
Yeah.
We're gonna definitely try to. We don't believe in excuses. So that's why I said we can get a point at least. But we could win.
Yeah, but I think that the one thing that can work against Solskjaer, I still think that he should be your coach, full-time coach, and he probably will be. But one thing that's kind of a little crack on the perfect picture was the game against PSG, because PSG handled you guys very well in this first game of the Champions League playoff.
Yeah.
And Marquinhos put Pogba in his pocket, really handled him very well, and the whole game was pretty much dominance from PSG that many people didn't see coming, like that PSG will really give, without Neymar, will give it to Man U.
I say first half we had them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we had played better than them, but we did what a Solskjaer team would want to do. When we got the injuries at the end of the half, and I think I thought this, and then I read a statement by Eric Bailly, our team lost confidence because that's the first time in a long time that something that happened. They felt like our advantage was gone. We're at home, and this team that we've been using and these players that we've been using to win, 2 of them are gone.
Mm-hmm.
So they went back on the field feeling not as powerful as possible. And PSG, they like, oh, the thing that we was afraid of, that fear is now gone. They grew in confidence. And then, but I think we learned from that game, and an example of us learning from that game is the Liverpool game. So, and everybody's saying, people try to insult Pogba anytime he had this person had him in his pocket. People are so easy to be disrespectful of Paul Pogba if he doesn't have an amazing game, as if every player has always played an amazing game. Like man, fuck that.
Yeah,
it's so disrespectful.
I agree with Pogba. However, of course, Pogba, after changing position, he's playing very, very well for Solskjaer. But there's one player I still think it's not working out, and it's Sanchez. I think what's your take on it? It's not working out, man.
It's not working out 100% for Sanchez or Lukaku.
But especially Sanchez. I mean, he came as one of the best players in the Premier League, and it's not working at all.
I can't be like.
So are you ready to write him off or not?
To write him off?
Yeah.
I think he should be not really be there next year. And Lukaku, I always had questions about Lukaku, and my questions about him have been he's justifying them.
Mm-hmm.
And the way Lukaku plays, Lukaku actually bugs me more than Sanchez, because some of Lukaku's things, like I can see his fear when he plays, and sometimes he makes an excuse not to get to certain balls. Like if there's a cross coming in and he should go near post, he'll go far post because he's afraid of his miscontrol. So he'll go far post, and then the defender will intercept it, and then he'll look at the player like, I wanted it far post. Well, you started that run after the player made the pass. So what type of where's your anticipation? I just feel like he's afraid right now. He's not mentally in it. Like he made a great pass to Lingard, and then he does have the capability, but he's playing more for, at least Sanchez will throw himself in there. And Sanchez did decent when he went on field in that scenario. All the subs did held their own in the crazy scenario that they were put on the field this week.
But the Champions League is pretty much lost.
The what? The Champions League?
Yep.
It's never lost till it's lost. It's never lost. You've seen enough Champions League to know that that's never. You remember the Barca PSG rematch from.
Yeah, but you don't have Messi and Neymar.
You don't have to. That's not the first time something like that has happened. In the Champions League final, we just talked about it. Liverpool was down to a better AC Milan team, 3-0, came back. Why am I going to think this is over? I'll never believe this is over. Not even when it's over.
Well, I'm happy with the Spurs in the Champions League. I was surprised. 3-0. That was amazing. Amazing first game. And who knows? Maybe Spurs will not do well in the Premier League. Maybe they will not do well in the Cups. But maybe they'll be like Liverpool from last year, going to the Champions League final.
No response. I'm just going to keep quiet.
Wishful thinking, but you never know. It's two games.
That's more than wishful thinking. Yeah. Watford, they're in 7th. They beat Cardiff 5-1. They just ran roughshod over them.
Yeah, I want to address one thing that we talked about actually a month ago, because the information was being out there in the news that finally Cardiff agreed to pay for Emiliano Sala in installments, right. But they made an agreement. So it's like, listen, they don't have much money and they have to pay for a player who's not even alive
who's
anymore.
Never played for them.
Yeah, never played for them. So if they don't survive that relegation race, they might be in big trouble, because their only hope right now is to stay in the Premier League, get the TV money and buy someone, because if they don't, I fear for them.
I mean, even if they go down, they get TV money from the Premiership for 3 years in a row. They do. That's how it works. So they can come back up. They don't need to stay up there to get the TV money.
I think they do. They only get a little fraction of it.
No, they get a lot. They look it up.
Okay. Because I know what happened to Sunderland when they went down to Championship and then went down to League One right after,
Yeah, that's Sunderland. They're just a terribly run club.
Okay.
Yeah. Wolverhampton Wanderers, they've gotten points in their last 5 games. They tied 1-1 with Bournemouth. This is pretty much an even match between two teams. Wolverhampton's been more consistent, you could say, but 1-1, and Bournemouth is 2 places behind them in the table, and so I don't know if you have anything to say about that. If not, we can keep it moving.
No, I mean, Wolverhampton, Jimenez, another goal. I mean, he's definitely catching eyes of better teams, and he might be the guy to move up this summer.
I hope he stays. West Ham, they won. They beat Fulham. I mean, Fulham's at the bottom of the table. Yeah. Not a surprise, but it's funny. It's like Fulham versus West Ham. We're watching 2 former Premier League coaches who won the Premier League coach against each other. But West Ham, what's his name? What's
Pellegrini.
Pellegrini has a better squad.
Oh, of
and
course.
his squad is responding to him now. They're in 9th place in the top, half of the table, and they beat Fulham 3-1. And
that was not a smart move from Claude Ranieri to kind of risk his own legend in the Premier League and take such a poor club. It's a really poor team. They're a really, really bad team.
Do you think he should? Well, they made a mistake. He made a mistake by kind of like buying a bunch of whole new players. And
they changed the whole team.
Changing the whole team.
And fired the guy who gave them the Premier League.
I don't know if I want to work for an organization that's that shady.
Yeah, no, they are.
It's pretty shady. Yeah. And then Bournemouth is right after West Ham. They're in 10th, and they tied 1-1. We talked about that. Everton, your boys.
My boys.
Yeah, no. They lost to Watford, 1-0.
Everton is terrible.
Yeah.
I told you. It's terrible.
They're not terrible. It's just like they got
for the resources they have, terrible.
That don't match. They look like they wearing a polka dot top with a striped bottom. It just doesn't work, you know. And Leicester, so they lost 4-1 to Crystal Palace, and Claude Puel gets fired. Mm-hmm. What do you think about the firing of Claude Puel?
Well, I mean, we talked about it on the way here. We're listening to Robert Huth, former Chelsea and Leicester champion. He won the league twice with two different teams. And he said that the team never responded to Claude Puel. He was there for almost 2 years, but somehow he changed.
Months.
Yeah, somehow he changed the DNA of the team, that they stopped playing this offensive attacking football, although they had some results. Yeah, it's not like they were terrible throughout. They were, most of the season, they were around 7th, 8th spot. Maybe ambitions are higher after winning the title, but pretty much that's where Leicester City should be, I think. And they just went on a bad run. However, Hood says that the players didn't respond to the coach, that they were not really approving his style and his form of communication with the team, and that this divorce they will benefit from it, and the better times are ahead of the Leicester City. We'll see what happens.
Well,
I'm not sure if that happens. Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of Claude Puel. I think he's overrated, but I have to admit that he did some good things for this team. He lowered the age of the team. He brought in a lot of youth. They got
Madison,
yeah, Madison, and I think, is it Brooks? Like, who's the other young players? And then they got the right back. Yeah. And so he's created value with their young players in the team. Mm-hmm. And I think it's Brooks. There's another guy. But Brooks might be from Bournemouth. But there's another guy he's brought in that's a good young player, right? And he did change the style of the team, but that's what new coaches do. He wanted to play a possessive style of football. So of course, an ex-player would be upset if the coach changed what made you feel comfortable with your team. But he's also given this team, like, he's starting to create a new identity. And I know the fans wanted to get rid of him because he didn't have a rapport with them. But also, I think fans need to be patient sometimes. Like, we've seen fans chase a coach out of Newcastle, and then they go down, and the coach goes somewhere else, and that team that he went to did better. So you can't always just listen to the fans. Plus, it's almost the end of the season. You're 12th. It's like you're going to finish a little bit above there or a little bit below there, but you're not in the relegation zone. I think you keep with this guy, try to develop the new style of the team with the new players, and integrate some of the older ones, and just see where it goes for the end of the year. I just don't see why you shouldn't do that. And I know, listen, it's not his style of play, you know? So, of course, so you have to take his words that come with some bias. And the other thing is, it's just too emotional of a time for Leicester to make any big decisions like this, because this is the same season that their owner died. You know what I mean? Like, they might think they're over it or past it, but they ain't. So they're just going through too much shit subconsciously to make big decisions like this. They need to just keep this the way it was, even though it's too late now, and not just react. You know, like maybe they wanted to make the fans happy by firing somebody, getting rid of something, or get the old players more playing time. Or like Puel was fucking with the nostalgia of the club by benching a lot of the players who won them the title. The owner just died, and it's like maybe the fan base wants to, for at least this season, to stick with the old so that they can stay connected to their best year or best season ever. So, but I don't think firing a guy that kind of had some direction, like I said, I've been against him, but I just realized also that he kind of was taking the club in a direction that is not a bad direction at all.
Yeah, no, of course, definitely he developed some young players, and early in the season they were playing well, but they lost 4 games in a row at home, and they didn't sit well with the fans, and the fans didn't like him at all. Mm-hmm. I think there was definitely a big gap between the supporters and the coach, and they wanted to get him fired for a while. Yeah. But as we talked about it's the syndrome of an average-looking guy who was dating average-looking girls and scored one top model, and then she's gone and he's back to dating average-looking girls, and cannot accept that. His ego is like, no, I should be dating supermodels for the rest of my life.
I don't understand that analogy. I think you kind of missed on the analogy. Well, I'm going to just keep going. Crystal Palace is 13th. They got 30 points. We talked about them beating the shit out of Leicester and getting Puel fired. They're right behind Leicester in the table. And then there's Burnley. They beat your team. So Burnley is turning into old Burnley. From
they're playing better.
Season. Yeah, they're getting better. They're getting points every week now.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
We watched the highlights.
That's the highlights. The new guy. What's his name?
Miguel Almiron.
Yeah, created some chances. They gave him man of the match. So, if you're just came from the MLS and you're gonna play in the Premiership, you would want your first game to be against Huddersfield, because it's like you're playing in a team. You're playing against a team that's at the bottom of the MLS, and this is your first game. And he almost scored a few goals and was involved indirectly in some of the chances, and fans applauded him off the field. So good for him, and I hope this continues, because it's going to get tougher. Next week Newcastle plays Burnley, so Spurs knows about them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Huddersfield, I don't think Huddersfield would do well even in the MLS with the current roster, and they're obviously the worst team in the league. Between Fulham and Huddersfield, those teams are already relegated. They can pretty much start preparing for championship next season. And but Almiron definitely brings something that they were missing. He has this creativity. Mm-hmm. He showed in the MLS being the best player on the best team. Mm-hmm. And I think we don't underestimate one more thing. That I was in Atlanta several times last year, and pretty much Atlanta United are the Atlanta's team. They turned a lot of fans.
Their name is Atlanta.
Yeah, but they won a lot of fans from the Falcons and from the Braves and from the Hawks. They became like the number one franchise in the city. They're really well supported. There's 70,000 people in every game. So to go from...
Where are they playing at to get 70,000? Are they playing in a football stadium?
Yeah, the big stadium.
Or a college stadium? That sounds like a college stadium.
Yeah. I forgot the name, but I know it's 75,000, and so to go from that to the Premier League to the Newcastle, that is also a well-supported club. I think it's a good vertical move for Almiron. I mean, he's ready for that for that type of club.
It's a good entry point for him. Brighton Hove lost to So Brighton Hove is 16th. Oh, it's funny. So Brighton Hove didn't play this week. So they're in 16th. Cardiff lost to Watford. We discussed that. They're in 17th. And then Southampton lost to Arsenal. So they slipped back into the relegation zone.
Although I think that they'll not be there at the end. I think Southampton, I'm pretty confident in them.
Yeah, they got a red card in the game early.
Mm-hmm.
They got a red card. So that's kind of like the story of the game. And that definitely was a red card. So they went down 10 men, and then boom. And then your boys Fulham, they lost to West Ham 3-1. We discussed that. So they're in 19th place. And
Done?
The
curtain is on.
They got a whole 17 points. What do you mean they're done?
Yeah. Amazing.
So hilarious. And then Huddersfield, Jesus, just Like they have I don't even know how they got 11 points the way they playing now. That's amazing.
I think they were at 11 points 2 months ago when we did the podcast. They were at 11.
Yeah.
They're still at 11.
They're still at 11. I don't think they plan on moving. They're like, we like 11. It's our lucky number. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just feel bad for the manager that he accepted the job because he's trashing his resume right now with compelling losses. Like, his record would be probably one of the worst, if not the worst, in the history of the Premier League.
Hey, man, sometimes you got to stay the third coach of Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good
third team
gig.
coach. Yeah.
The Borussia Dortmund coaches keep getting jobs in Europe. So he would move up in the order, and instead he went to coach Sunderland. Huddersfield. Makes no sense.
Maybe he'll bring him down and then come back up. If they keep him.
No, I don't see the bait. It was pretty much a fluke that Wagner, who is a great coach, took them to the Premier League. They were never in the hunt for the Premier League before. Like there was a one fluke season. Like he was a master coach. Like they didn't appreciate what they were having with Wagner, who was a really great coach. He got them to the Premier League, and he got them to keep their Premier League status for a year. With the team, with the resources, with the squad, I mean, he did a fantastic job. To fire him for that's bad karma, man.
I agree with you.
Bad karma.
I agree. I finally agree with you. So that's it. And they got games midweek. We talked about some of the teams that teams got to play. And you got anything you want to plug? Thanks for coming.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, sure. The new MLS season starts. And this week, kind of a little bit disappointing in terms of transfers. Although Nani signed with Orlando. He's the biggest signing of this winter break. A lot of players left. Almiron, Jovinko. I don't think he's that old. I would say he's around 30. He just didn't have a very good path from after leaving Man U. He played for Sporting Lisbon, I think.
I think it's a little older than 30.
You think? You can check it out.
Oh yeah, we got this thing called a computer, right?
He was pretty good for Ferguson in his last seasons with Man U. I remember he was one of the most productive players for a while.
He's 32 years old.
32. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. All right. Anything else?
Yeah. So I have a new 442 that will come out for the start of MLS. I have an interview with Frank de Boer. I talked to him about several interesting things. I talked to Lukas Podolski as well. So those will be back-to-back interviews. If you read 442, you can find them there.
They're in there now?
They will be in the new issue, yeah.
When's the new issue come out?
I think it will be the first week of March, probably around March 2nd, March 3rd.
All right, cool. And I have no articles coming out, but follow me on Instagram at Ian Edwards Comic. I'll be at the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory throughout the week, and possibly the Improv. Also, check out my album, 100% Half-Assed. You can get it at CD Baby, iTunes, or anywhere people listen to shit, like Spotify and just other places. There's an album that was produced by Conan, and I'm gonna get my website up soon, so I'll post a podcast there, and also put my dates up there. I'm starting to get some dates, so I'm gonna be towards the end of the year, middle of half of the year. I'll be, I'm gonna post dates. All right, so thanks, Aaron. I'm gonna try to say your last name right. Brungard? Yes, Aaron Brungard sits here every week. He's a homie. I bug him after the show with emails. Like, how do I open this goddamn Dropbox? Meanwhile, it's completely openable. But I just appreciate it, and sometimes we go over. Thanks, brother.